Hello and welcome to another Thursday here on Viking.TV with me, Anne Diamond. And this week is Netherlands Week. Now, what do you think of immediately when I say that? Yes, tulips and windmills, of course. And we celebrated those on yesterday's live stream. It reminded me so much of my first ever assignment abroad, basically, as a young news reporter. In fact, I was a newspaper reporter, and I'd been sent to Amsterdam to report on the tulip season. And I had never, ever seen anything quite like it in my life. It really is a different world with enormous vistas of flat acres and acres of the most unbelievable flowers and spectacular show gardens. If you have never been, please make it a priority. But the other thing the Netherlands is famous for, I guess, is bicycles. Everywhere you go, and it really is the best way to go and see the sights. It's a way of life, actually. Well, today's special guest is a cyclist from the Netherlands. But just to say that is such an understatement. In fact, she is an epic, mega cyclist. She doesn't just pop to the shops or cycle around town. She bikes all over the world and has set herself the sort of challenges you might not want to do even in a luxury camper van, let alone pedaling all the way. Her first epic journey was from Tierra del Fuego in Argentina all the way to Alaska. And then the Netherlands to Australia to attend a friend's birthday party, and finally a round the world trip. Now, to give you a flavour of what that looks like, here is one of her wonderful adventures. Oh, Australia, what a destination, but what an incredible journey on the way. Now, as the song goes, there may be 9 million bicycles in Beijing, but I'm reliably informed that there are 23 million bicycles in the Netherlands. That is actually more bikes than people. So let's meet one of their true ambassadors, writer, photographer, and extreme cyclist, Marica van der Meer. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Em.
What an amazing adventure you have taken yourself on.
Yeah, well, that's what I like to do.
It is what you like to do, but at the moment, you're very much grounded. Are you speaking to me from your home in the Netherlands now?
Yeah, I'm in the Netherlands at the moment, and yeah, we're grounded. We even have a curfew. After 9 o'clock, we're not allowed to go outside. It's very, very strange for me. I prefer to be traveling.
Exactly. In fact, it must have been very frustrating for you for a long time, not able to go out very much at all.
Well, I was lucky that, well, lucky, not all that lucky, because I was still halfway one of my trips when COVID broke out. I ended up in Los Angeles and still wanted to go another year. But fortunately, I was traveling until the 5th of April last year.
But you did manage to get home?
I did manage to get home, yes.
Otherwise, you might be stranded out there. On the other hand, I don't think you would mind that.
No.
Let's just talk about what the situation is like now at the moment. I mean, I was talking about there being 23 million bicycles in the Netherlands. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, but I only got 2.
Sorry?
I only got 2.
You've only got 2. Well, there you are, you see, but it's still more bicycles than people. See?
Yeah, but my boyfriend has 8.
Oh my goodness. Why so many?
Well, you know, you need 1 bicycle to go to the shop and the hairdresser. Then you need a city bike to go, an older city bike to go to the pub. Obviously, you need a mountain bike in the Netherlands.
Yes.
There's no mountains, but you can go into the forest. You need a racing bike to go fast. And then he's got a female bike. Don't ask me why. And he has a bike with panniers where you can travel long distances like I do.
That starts to explain the 23 million bicycles. Why is bicycling such a way of life there?
Because the Netherlands is flat. Everything is relatively close. So you can easily go to the supermarket by bicycle. You take your kids to school by bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
You basically, whatever is within the city, you don't use your car. You go by bicycle. And it's not an effort. It's just because everything is very flat.
And over the years, I think certainly over the decades, the governments, various governments have deliberately tried to foster this idea. I mean, you have much safer bicycle lanes than probably anywhere else in the world, don't you?
We've got beautiful bicycle paths all over the Netherlands. You can actually also easily cycle from city to city and not get on major roads. Yeah.
Gosh. Okay, so let's talk about that first trip and why you decided. I mean, because you've had a brilliant career already. I know that at one point you were actually a cruise director for Viking, weren't you?
Yes, for 2 seasons I joined Viking. It was basic. I was guiding bus tours through the United States, and then I came to Europe and I was guiding Americans in Europe. So the other way around, but then by boat.
So you could have had a very busy career doing that sort of thing. I know that's how you were qualified. But somewhere along the line, you clearly have wanderlust. You wanted to get seeing places and you wanted to do it on a bike. So how did you plan that first trip?
Okay, because I have been traveling so much, and I always had the idea that before I'm 30 years old, I got to settle down, have a regular job, do normal things, yeah? But I tried that for 1 year, and it really didn't work out. I couldn't just work in one place and be between 4 walls all day. And so while sitting at the computer, I was dreaming away and thinking, what can I do to make my life more interesting again? Maybe I should do one more last big trip. And then the more boring it was getting in the office, the longer my trip was getting. But then I looked at the map and I thought, well, from the bottom of Argentina to Alaska looks pretty long. And then if I do it by bicycle, it'll take me even longer.
Yes.
So that's how the idea came into existence. And on top of that, I had always been very good in saving money for later. But my dad he died when he was 54. I'm almost his age. And so I thought, why wait for later? Maybe there is no later. I got to do this now.
And actually, I mean, your father, sadly dying, did spur you to make something of your life, to do something.
Absolutely. Like, you don't know how much time you're getting, so you better use it. Yeah.
I wonder what he would have thought of your first planned trip from the very bottom of South America to the very top of North America. It is the most stunning journey to take on, but to do it, to think that you could even do it by bike. There we are. You are setting off, aren't you?
No, this is actually the Atacama Desert. In Chile.
In Chile. So yes, sort of part of the way.
Yes. Well, about 5 months into the trip. And you imagine that at nighttime it was freezing cold. It was below 0. And during daytime it was over 40 degrees Celsius. I don't know how much is that in Fahrenheit. Well, very hot.
Very hot, yes.
Yeah. Big difference between night and day. And here, this is in Bolivia, actually. And we found out that if you follow the road, we are talking about 2002 right now, yeah? If you follow the road, you would always get rivers, but they forgot to build the bridges. So then we found out that it was easier to follow the railroad track, because at least then you had a bridge. The only thing was, obviously, if there was a train coming, it was kind of dangerous, but there were about 3 trains a week. So
not too bad. And at least you know the general direction you're going in, don't you?
Also, yeah.
But now where are you here?
This is Peru. It was the highest pass on the trip. 4,800 meters. That's around 15,000 feet, I think.
My God. And cycling that high up must be very hard.
Yeah. In the end, your upper legs are like out of oxygen. It's, but it's such a challenge that you're capable of much more than you think. Yeah.
Yes. And so you keep cycling north, keep going onwards. Where are you there?
This is in Baja California. By that time, I'm cycling by myself. And it was so nice because down below you see like a campsite.
Yes.
Lots of Americans with their humongous motorhomes. And there I came with my bicycle and my little tent. But I would always be invited for dinner or breakfast, so they treated me well.
But you can only live with what you can carry with you on the bike.
Yes, and that's a very easy life because there's not many choices.
No,
we got like 2 sets of bicycle clothes, 2 sets of regular clothes. The other bag is your sleeping gear, tent, kitchen, some cooking materials, and that's it.
And that's it. Everything else you pick up as you go. And who is with you at the time? I mean, sometimes you're on your own, as you said. Yeah. Other times friends join you?
Yeah, the very first trip I started off with what was then my boyfriend. He came back into my life 20 years later, but that's a different story.
Another story.
Yeah, but anyway, he had a sabbatical, so he went home from Mexico City, and I mean, I didn't want to give up. I wanted to go on to Alaska, so I went on to Alaska by myself.
And so you kept on going all that amazing route. Well, if anyone wants to see how it turned out, you made a video of that particular journey too. So we've seen the still pictures that you took along the way. Let's have a look at the video of that amazing journey. Here it is.
Okay.
That said it all, a bicycle bag full of experiences. I wonder, Marica, will you ever, do you think, settle down or retire in one place? Or do you think you will always have itchy feet?
I think it will always be that way. I thought that this was going to be my last like big trip, the grand finale, yeah. But it turned out to be a new beginning, and yeah, I've done several trips ever since. So I don't know. And because of my last trip being cut short by COVID, I still have another opportunity to go around the world. So I can.
Oh, I think it's definitely needed, isn't it? You won't rest until you've done it. So where did this all come from? Where did this wanderlust come from? What sort of a childhood did you have?
Well, I already at 5 years old, I was I was starting gymnastics, and I was invited by this provincial club when I was 9, I think. So I was
I'm going to cut you off there. Before we go into the gymnastics, tell us about where it is you lived, because I know you've taken some wonderful photographs of your hometown of Workum.
Yes. Yeah, my hometown is in the northern part of the Netherlands. It's very close to what we call the IJssel Lake, Meer. Used to be located on an ocean until the Dutch built a dike through the ocean, the Afsluitdijk. This is the little old harbor that we have, which is now more or less for people that come visit.
It's beautiful.
And yeah, this is when there's ice in the canals. We can go ice skating. And in the northern part of the Netherlands, we have the 11 city tour. And you can go all the way on ice skates to all the 11 cities on this tour. So it's the northern part of the Netherlands. It's a very small town, 5,000 inhabitants or something like that.
I must say, it looks absolutely beautiful. You've done it such credit with your photographs. So that is the backdrop to your childhood. But as you were telling us, oh, look, the horses as well.
Yeah, the wild horses.
That's the backdrop to your childhood. But as you were saying, you were a very keen gymnast. And we've got quite a few photographs of you, as well as from the local newspapers, of how well you did.
Yeah, here I'm about 12 years old, I think. And at the age of 12, we became Dutch national champion with the team, 6 girls. And that was. Oh,
there you are, yes.
Of course, yeah. It was my first national title. And the last, I think. But anyway, no, I've always been very keen. And I guess that's where I was very competitive. And it taught me a lot. I think it formed me for the rest of my life in a way. Yeah. It's the perseverance, the discipline, the motivation to do something, and always looking for another challenge.
Yes, well, you did very well, clearly a medalist. How long did you go on doing that sort of gymnastics?
Until I was 18 years old, because that's when I first started working abroad. So from the age of 5 until I was 18, basically competing in gymnastics.
Well, at least we can see where you got your fitness from. Because to ride a bicycle, certainly for God knows how many hundreds of kilometers. Oh, that's a wonderful photograph, mid-flight.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called in English.
No, I don't know what it's called in English.
I still put your hands down.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
So we know where you got your muscles from to be able to ride a bike for all of those kilometers that you have done. So let's talk about your second trip. This time it was Netherlands, right through to Australia. And wasn't there something about you wanting to turn up at a friend's birthday party in Australia?
Yeah. I thought, like, why not? She said to me, like, I'd been visiting her in Australia once. And then she said to me, when are you coming back? I said, well, the next time I'm coming, I'll come by bicycle. And she was laughing, and we were joking about it. And then I thought, like, yeah, why not? So I went on the trip, and then it worked out that I could make it exactly onto her birthday, so for her birthday party. So that's what became the goal. And
I know, I gather you timed it perfectly. So how many months was it going to take to get to Australia, setting off from the Netherlands?
It was 15 months, so I actually left one birthday earlier.
Yeah.
To make it to the next.
And we've got some of the lovely pictures you took along the way. I think the first one is of you literally setting off, just about to set off.
This is the Danube. That's where Viking is cruising on as well. And I was crossing it from one side to the other, because along the Danube you sometimes have the bicycle path on one side and then it's on the other side. Yeah. To get in touch with this captain, you actually had to hammer a piece of metal to call him. It was that funny. Yeah.
So that's the very beginning of the journey, but on you go. I think the next one is you asking for directions in Turkey already.
Yes, and of course I knew where to go. At that time, a friend joined me, because several friends joined me on the way. So I did the whole trip, but I had company once in a while. And we knew where we were going, but it's always nice to talk to the locals. So I asked him for directions. But this guy on a donkey, he only knew the way, like as the crow flies. So, because on a donkey, you obviously don't have to follow the asphalt if the area is like this, right? But I would open the map to be able to talk to them, because I didn't speak any of the languages there in Central Asia. This is actually in Iran, the picture you were just showing. And we wanted to camp at this farmer's land. And he didn't get and I knew the word for tent in their language and a few words, but in Farsi, and he didn't understand it. And then at one stage he said, okay, take my house. So we slept in the house and he went to sleep with his father-in-law, I think, or something like that.
And gave up a room for you?
Yeah, he gave us the whole house.
Did you find that people generally were very generous, or at least welcoming?
If you're traveling on a bicycle and it's getting dark, they know that you can't go any further.
Yes.
That you can't, and then people are very willing to help you to find a place to sleep or a place to put up the tent,
And you're no threat to them, but did you ever feel that they might be a threat to you anywhere you went?
It's different when I have company, I must admit. Like when I have company, I more easily go up to people and ask if we can camp on their yard or whatever. When I'm by myself, I mostly go more like to a restaurant facility or the police station So yeah, there is a difference in when I'm traveling by myself or when I'm traveling with someone. I still don't really like to sleep all by myself, like in the middle of a desert, but yeah, if I have to, I will.
I can understand that. Our next picture, I think, is you cycling through the ruins of the old Silk Road.
Yes, this is Meer in Turkmenistan. And
that is truly historic there. And then the next one, I think, is you are very high up again in Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, on the way to China. This is the last pass that I had to cross to make it to the border with China. It was at 3,700 meters. So yeah, pretty high as well.
Really high and tough going. And who is he?
This is in the, northeast, western part of China. It's where the Uyghurs live. So he's a Chinese, but he's a Muslim, and they have a lot of problems at the moment in China.
Yes, and do you speak any Chinese?
No, but you always learn a few words, and you can do a lot with signs, like the sign for sleeping is for hotel, and I had a menu written in Chinese and English, and I could point if they could cook certain menus for me, or you'll find a way. Yeah.
Yes, and you clearly did find a way. Yeah. You met with some Tibetan monks.
Yeah.
In the Chinese Himalayas.
Yes, because you're not allowed to enter Tibet by yourself. You have to go with a group. But I went around Tibet in the Chinese area, and then you're still almost in Tibetan area, because that's where all the Tibetans live as well. They also live in the Chinese part of the Himalayas. So I actually heard them sing, and I was like very debating if I was allowed to enter. But then somebody came out and he says, yeah, come on in. And I was welcomed inside. And I mean, that was a stretch of China that I did. It was like almost 2,000 kilometers. And it took me 5 weeks, and I've seen no other foreign people. And then in the end, you really need a conversation because, I mean, you can speak with hands and feet a little bit with these Chinese, but not have a real conversation. So that
Isn't it an incredible, what I would call a leveler, riding on a bike through these countries? You're not seeing the sort of side of these countries that we see on our television news. You're not seeing the politicians, and you're not seeing the riots or bad times or whatever.
Yeah.
You are seeing what it's really like, just to mix with ordinary people, just to be biking along the road.
Yeah, and when you ride your bicycle, you're much more at the same level as they are than when you ride a car. This was a funny story because you see that bulk of a cardboard hanging on the back of my bike.
Yes.
It had been raining for a couple of days and I was getting really dirty because I don't have any mud guards on my bike. So this Chinese restaurant owner, he built me this mud guard. He was thinking like she should have a mud guard, otherwise her coat is getting too dirty.
Oh, and absolutely right. Yes, so that's a makeshift mud guard.
I was not allowed to pay for lunch, and he made me a mud guard. That's how people react to a cyclist, especially female cyclists.
That's interesting. I know we will get questions about this. You just said he was a Chinese restaurant owner in China. What is a Chinese restaurant like in China? Is it anything like what we in the West experience in a Chinese restaurant?
No. It's very different. Well, it depends on if you're in a city, it's pretty civilized, but on the countryside, whatever you don't eat, like the bones from the chicken, whatever, you throw it on the floor.
Mm. Oh.
Yeah.
Tasty though? Tasty food?
Yeah, the food is great in China. I really like the food.
Oh, let's look at some more of your lovely photographs. We'll talk about the fact that you have taken a lot of these photographs yourself.
Yeah.
There's just ordinary, lovely children.
This is in Laos, and they were my fellow people on the road. So I had to share the road with a lot of girls, and they were women are in Laos responsible for collecting wood for heating, but also for cooking.
Gosh.
So you saw a lot of women collecting wood.
Yeah, right from an early age as well. They're doing a lot of back-breaking work, carrying wood there. And finally, I love this photograph.
This is in Myanmar, the former Burma. It's on a very shallow lake, the Inle Lake, and this is the traditional fishermen. They do have a different kind of fishing now as well, but they would balance on one foot and paddle with the other, so they had their hands free to go fishing.
So they're paddling with the other foot.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's and they balance as well on these very tiny boats, yeah.
And that's in Myanmar.
Myanmar, yeah.
You see, and like I said, there are a lot of news reports coming from Myanmar at the moment, very unhappy news reports. But what you saw was a completely different level of life there.
Yeah, when I was there, it was very peaceful. Although there is one big river through the center of the country. And when we were cycling on the right side of the river, it was all fine. When we went to the other side, we would constantly be followed by men on little motorcycles. The Secret Service.
No.
I don't know if they were trying to protect us from the people who are living there or the people from us. We have no clue. But it was a couple of days, and then when we went to the other side of the river, they were gone. So
spooky.
Yes.
Slightly spooky. So, I mean, we've just seen some of your pictures there, and they are so beautiful, and they do show us an aspect of the world that most of us will never see. But finally, when you got back, tell me how you arrived at Australia, because you did arrive in time for the birthday.
Yes, I was basically when I was in Northern Australia in Darwin. I knew I had 3 months on my visa for Australia, and if I would have gone straight down through the center, it would have taken me about 6 weeks to get to Adelaide, where my friend lived.
Yeah.
But I had almost 3 months to kill, so I thought, okay, I'll go via the East Coast. So I went to Townsville and then on to Sydney. But then I was running out of time, so I thought, well, over water, I'm allowed to use a different vehicle because I cannot cycle, right? So I took a plane to Hobart, cycled up Tasmania, took the boat to Melbourne, and then it was just another 1,000 kilometers left to get to Adelaide, and I had about 10 days left to do that, and that was okay. I can manage 1,000 kilometers in 10 days.
On a bike, you can imagine 1,000 kilometers in 10 days?
Yes, if I have to. Yeah.
And you did?
On average, 100. It's like 60 miles a day, 100 kilometers per day.
Oh my goodness! And you arrived on the day?
Yes, exactly at 4 o'clock when the birthday party started.
I don't believe it. Yeah. They must have. They must have thought, A, you were bonkers, and B, they must have been so surprised to see you arrive on time.
Yeah, well, it was. I had been there before, and I knew the butcher who was at the corner, so I was there about 10 minutes to 4. So I stopped at the butcher. He got me a drink, and then at 4 o'clock I cycled.
That is
through the finish.
That's friendship. That must have been a very special friend, but that's brilliant. My goodness. When you get to your destination like that, I mean, do you have enough energy to enjoy the birthday party, or do you just want to sleep?
No, because I always say cycling doesn't cost you energy, it gives you energy. Because you're so much fitter. When you do sports every day, you got so much more energy. I got a lot less energy now being in this lockdown. When I'm on my bike, I got loads of energy. So no, that's not a problem.
Actually, biking that many miles or kilometers per day, you must have to eat a lot to give you that sort of energy. How many calories do you have to eat in your journey every day?
I don't know. The thing is that you can eat whatever you want. You can eat chocolate. You can eat sugars.
Burn it off.
Things that you're not supposed to eat when you're at home. That's why these trips are amazing, because you can just eat whatever you feel like your body will tell you what to eat. And I had one problem on this trip to Australia, because I got a food poisoning somewhere in Central Asia, and it took me about 3 months to get over it, and I'd never been that skinny in my life.
Oh my goodness.
My mom was telling me, no, you're not allowed to lose any more weight, and I thought nobody would ever say that to me, because while doing gymnastics, I always had to lose weight. So
yes,
yeah.
Yes. So are you an ambassador, not just for bicycling, for seeing the world and enlightening your life, but for fitness and health too?
Well, yeah. The thing is
this something we should all do?
I think what everybody should do is to try and see a little bit of the world for themselves. Because my view of the world is no longer about what I hear in the news and what I see on the news. Very often I see a news item and I think like, oh, that's not true, because I've been there.
Yes.
And so I think I have a very good picture of what the world is really like. And in the news, they always put everything in there, what's going wrong, like what's happening in the world, sensation, and they never have an item on what is going so well, or that 98% of the people in the world are so helpful and so nice and so welcoming strangers, and that you can only experience by doing a trip like this or going into the world. Yeah,
I do agree. As a journalist, I've been a journalist for 40 years, and yes, we concentrate far too much on the negative. And whilst that's important, of course it's important, I think we also need to be reminded, but you are doing this, you are reminding us of the good parts of the world and the good people that there are in the world.
Yes.
So finally, last year, then you decided you would do a circumnavigation.
Yes, I was trying to find another route.
So what was the plan? Where were you going to start off? Where were you going to go, and how was it going to go?
Okay, it was my 50th birthday. Yeah. So what do you do when you turn 50? You throw a party, right? So I went to my birthday party by bicycle. It was only 30 kilometers from my house. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a farmhouse where all my friends could stay the night. And the next morning, I didn't want to go straight back home. I just thought I'll go the wrong way around, because the world is round. So if you cycle in the wrong direction long enough, you'll also get home.
So you were telling me you came out of your birthday party and thought, I could go that way home, short journey, or I could go that way, woo, around the world and come back again. And you chose that way.
Yes.
So where was next? After home, where were you going to go next?
I was going to the harbor of Antwerp.
Yeah.
Because I had found a cargo ship that was going to take me to South America. So first I had to cross an ocean. And also because my birthday is in January, which is very cold in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So it was good that it was just a 4-day bicycle ride down to the harbor of Antwerp. And then it would take me across to the other side of the equator where it was warm.
Yes.
Yes. So I went.
And then you were just going to basically keep going.
Yes.
Around the world.
So
well, you made one of your another stunning videos of this journey, and as you will tell us in a moment, sadly COVID cut it short, but has given you another challenge to take on. So let's have a look at this video now. This is Marica on her way from the Netherlands all around the world, but only getting so far because of COVID. Let's have a look. Marica, when you look at that map, I can't believe that just by the power of your legs, pedal power, you have crossed those amazing terrains. You have crossed so many miles. Can you believe it when you look at it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you did it, I suppose.
Yeah, I was only halfway. I was only halfway.
Oh, yeah, I know. And it must have been so frustrating. You got as far as California. And then presumably, did you hear as you were coming closer and closer that, you know, there was this pandemic problem and your plans might be hit?
It was about Texas when my mom called and she says, like, "Are you still going to China afterwards? There is a virus in China." And like, "Oh, that's still a few months away. It will be solved by the time I get to China." And then obviously at a certain stage, I think we were about Page, Arizona, that Trump was announcing that flights from Europe were banned. So nobody was allowed to come to the US anymore. Then we found out that flights were still going back. So we thought, well, let everybody else go back first. And then we were cycling through the Mojave Desert, through the empty streets of Las Vegas. So we thought, well, if we camp and we're in the middle of nowhere, it shouldn't be too bad. So
yes.
we stretched it until the 5th of April, yeah.
And that was when you realized that actually the only thing to do was try and head home.
As my visa for the US would expire in 2 days. And Japan had closed off all the borders. I was supposed to go to Japan next. And about 2 days before I was supposed to fly, because first I was going to go by cargo ship. Obviously, I didn't want to fly. But they had already canceled that. So I thought, okay, I'll fly. But then 2 days before my flight, they just closed off all the borders.
Yeah. So there was no choice, really. You had to head home.
Yeah.
You must have been very disappointed. But then, I mean, everybody's plans have been halted. Do you think you will you one day complete that journey?
I don't think I'm going to complete it. I just want to start over.
Oh.
And then I'll go the other way around. I'll go from here to Japan first and then take a cargo ship down to Mexico and make the route a little bit different from what I did.
Yes, don't repeat yourself. But if you look back, and we'll look at some of the photographs again that you took along the way, you can see what an amazing journey it was, even if it was cut short. Now, where are you there?
This is just the Netherlands in wintertime, yeah. Leaving my house, and it was freezing cold. But as I said, only 4 days, to the harbor of Antwerp. And then
on the cargo ship for your first leg of the journey.
Yes.
Which is this great big orange ship, I think we're just about to see. Yeah, the great big cargo ship.
The Italian cargo ship. And
how comfortable is it on a cargo ship?
You just have your own cabin. It's not like a Viking cabin. It's very primitive. But it is, you got your own cabin. They're allowed to take 12 passengers on. Mm-hmm. Because if they have more, they need to have the doctor and everything on board. No, you have your cabin, you have your 3 meals a day, and the only thing is it's a cargo ship, so they're not on a tight schedule. Because I thought the journey was supposed to be 30 days, and in the end it were 47.
Oh my goodness, yes. So yeah. Obviously, you're sort of hitchhiking almost, aren't you? Yeah. Then our next shot shows you in the Andes.
Yes. So from Montevideo, I cycled up through Iguazu and then a little bit through Paraguay, Uruguay, into Argentina, and now I'm heading towards Bolivia. So here I'm already at about 2,000 meters altitude in the Andes Mountains. So I'm working my way up to the high plateau. So I'm going up higher and higher.
Yes. And at least I suppose you can take time to acclimatize. But at the top there, I think in Bolivia, you took this lovely shot where you are playing with photography.
Yeah, this is on the Salar de Uyuni. It's a huge salt flat. And you can really play with that perspective because obviously my bicycle is not that big. I was about 10 meters, 30 feet behind the bicycle.
It works really well. Beautiful blue sky behind you too. Another one though, talking about blue skies right down to rain. This is the rainy season in Guyana.
Yeah, when I got to Guyana, it was supposed to already been over the rainy season, but you never know nowadays. And it had still been raining quite a lot. So this, yeah, some stretches of the road were this bad, and even one stretch was even worse. And I had a really problem because my handlebar broke.
Oh,
my bicycle, because it was sucked so much into the mud, and I was trying to pull it out. And yeah, I'm still riding on the same bicycle that I had on my very first journey.
well, that's what I know. We've got quite a few questions about your bike itself,
Yeah.
but it's been everywhere, crossing the Caribbean there. So obviously you hitchhike sometimes on rather lovely boats.
Yes, I started off in Paramaribo, and because I had already done Central America once by bicycle, so I thought now I want to go across the Caribbean, but obviously a lot of water there and no ferries. So yeah, you just try, and you go to the harbors and you ask, and then when you're lucky, within a week or something, you'll find somebody to take you.
Yeah, people think eccentric cyclist, we'll take her on. Here we are in Texas, I think.
Yes, it was really funny because you come from Louisiana and then all of a sudden you're in Texas. It's like almost crossing an international border. It's and of course we try to find the rural roads. Yeah, we go on the very small back roads by bicycle, and it was raining, and these guys were inviting us in to have our lunch inside the store. It was really funny.
We'll go to the next one, which is camping, I think, in New Mexico.
Yeah, this was a day that, I mean, we were in the United States in January, February, March. So it was winter. And we could have, like, one day we could have so much wind that you would blow off the road, or actually here we were being blown on the road. So we just, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something, we said, okay, that's it. We're not going any further. And we were in this small village, but there was hardly any people living in it anymore. So we just decided to put our tent next to a house.
Yeah, sometimes it's just best to hunker down and sleep. But this is almost a famous shot. I think you called it, this is the Forrest Gump shot, isn't it?
That's the movie Forrest Gump. I think he's running there up until there, and he decides to go back. So they call it Forrest Gump Point. It's when you see all the rocks in Monument Valley. And here you can already see that COVID had hit, because otherwise it would be full with tourists.
Oh, really?
So I could just...
That's quite empty, which is what makes it an even better shot. It's incredible, that long straight road ahead of you. And we've got another, talk about long straight roads. There's another one there in Arizona, I think.
Yes, in some parts there are no small roads. You just have to go on the interstate. And in Arizona it's allowed. There's a lot of the states it's allowed. But in Louisiana we were trying to cross a swamp area, and only Interstate 10 was going across it. But you're not allowed on an interstate in Louisiana. So we got caught by the sheriff, and he sent us off, and we had to hitchhike. Right.
But at least there, yes, you've got a sort of cycle pathway. And finally, you make it to the Pacific.
Reaching the Pacific. Yes, so that was, at that time, I was still really happy, thinking I was going to fly to Japan from there. And, I didn't know yet that with like 2 days later or something, I was on the plane going home.
But just what an incredible journey you have already made by there. Your photography is, exquisite. And that's what makes some of your journey, for the rest of us, we can enjoy what you did through these amazing photographs you've taken. Did you study photography?
Yeah, I actually, my studies were tourism. And then when I decided that I wanted to not work abroad anymore, I didn't want to work in a travel agency in the Netherlands. So I thought, well, then give my other hobby a chance. And I studied photography for 1.5 years. And that's how I went into photography. But I worked in photography for a while. I still do. But I miss the traveling. So I'm also a tour operator now. I go with people to places where I've been to, and I really, really like to go back. And then I take small groups around.
Well, I know everybody at home, wherever people are at home in the world watching at the moment, would love to see some of your, obviously you've taken lots of amazing shots of your travels, but along the way, you have taken some truly artistic shots. This is a whale?
Yeah, it's a whale. He's bubble feeding. So whales, they make bubbles, and then all the fish go to the center, and then he opens his big mouth and eats all the fish.
Oh my goodness.
a whale is feeding. And I was really lucky because I was up in the mast of the boat. I climbed up there with my camera, and then this whale passed by. So I was really lucky to be up.
No, before, and we can see the bubbles so clearly as well. You can actually see what he's doing. That's an incredible photograph. And we have more of your lovely photographs there of people. Where is that?
This is India, and this is the Holi festival, the festival of colors. And I went to India especially for that festival. So I had a hotel for like 7 nights, very close to where a lot of these events were taking place. And the hotel manager was really doing his best, like sending me to different spots every day. And then the day of Holi came, and then he says, but today you cannot go out. And I'm like, but this is why I'm here. He says, no, it's way too dangerous. They're gonna make your camera wet and everything. And then he took me down to his community behind the gates, and I was allowed to celebrate Holi with them. And that's, yeah.
I see that woman's face says it all, doesn't it? She's just gorgeous and totally enjoying it. Then, of course, if you were in India, you have to go to the Taj Mahal. And your photograph here is obviously just sensational, isn't it? What was it like seeing the Taj Mahal?
You cannot. I've seen it on pictures a lot, of course, before going, but then when you're there, it's huge. And yeah, the story behind it, that he built it for his wife who died at childbirth, and yeah.
And it is still so beautiful and draws so many people to it. Hopefully everybody will be able to do that quite soon. And then in quite contrast, out in the country, you've got a sheep herder who I gather, if we look closer, is checking his cell phone.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. That's the amazing thing about this picture. It's the cell phone. You don't expect it in the picture. It's in Tajikistan.
Oh. And where is that? That's
Tajikistan.
Tajikistan.
It's one of the former Russian countries, and one of the former Soviet Union countries.
I wonder what his reception is like out there. And another lovely arty photograph. I mean, my goodness, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, this is the baobabs in Madagascar.
Madagascar. Oh, and from Madagascar to Singapore, I think we go next.
Yeah.
I mean, what a contrast.
Yes, that's the artificial trees, right?
Absolutely.
It could be a ship on top of these buildings.
Incredible. And you've been to all these places. Oh. I think we've got another one of the beautiful. Now, where are these horses?
These are Kyrgyz horses.
Kyrgyz.
Yes, so most of the pictures. Well, I cycled past this as well, so I was on my bicycle, and that's the thing. Taking pictures. It's what keeps me going, because I cycled a lot, but I don't see myself as a cyclist. I really, it keeps me going that I can frame these pictures and I can stop wherever I want, and that's basically what I do. I cycle from picture to picture.
Yes, but the composition is there. I mean, I think you could analyze that one, and the colors and the composition is just exquisite. I think we have another one of this beautiful sleeping seal.
That's in Antarctica.
Yeah, I mean, all the places you've been, and these incredible waterfalls. Where's that?
That's Iguazu. It's at the border of Brazil and Argentina, very close to Paraguay.
What an incredible place.
They're located in both countries. To me, these are the most beautiful waterfalls in the world. I've been to Zimbabwe, to Victoria Falls, been to Niagara Falls, but they're nothing compared to these. These waterfalls are like 2.7 kilometers long or something in total.
Can't believe them, can you? We saw a hint of your next photograph, which is altogether much more still.
Yeah, this is the Okavango Delta in the Kalahari Desert.
Oh, I think I've seen documentaries about this, where suddenly desert turns to water and these flowers spring up quite quickly.
Yeah, and it's the only river, the Okavango River, is the only river in the world that's not emptying in an ocean, but it ends in a desert.
Oh. And it just sort of runs out of water.
Yeah, it just
into a desert.
Yeah.
How astonishing. And who is he?
He was a hairdresser in India. But I just, the whole attitude and the color.
Yes. Yes, it says a lot. And we'll look at some more. Oh my goodness.
There's tea plantations
Tea
in it.
plantations.
Yeah.
And the most incredible, and children, of course, children's faces.
Yeah. This is Africa. There is one trip I didn't tell you about because it wasn't by bicycle. I drove in a 4x4 in a Toyota Land Cruiser. We drove from the Netherlands to Cape Town and back. So that was another trip in between. But I discovered that it's so much nicer to be on a bicycle because you are much more in contact with the local people.
Yes.
In a car, you'll have a harness around you.
We need to, before we say goodbye to you, because I know we're running out of time, I've got lots of questions to put to you. So we'll whiz through them if you don't mind.
Yes. This was Galapagos and this is Myanmar, but...
that's a harvest. I mean, that's what I mean. Being on a bicycle, you can get these, it's almost as though you're taking it from their perspective, aren't you? You're, like I said, it's a leveler.
Yeah, and you go talk to them first, you know, and then they'll just let you do. Yeah.
Okay, let's get to some questions. Roger in the US says, how many inner tubes did you have to carry with you?
I mostly have about 3 spares on me, and I got pretty good tires. So I average maybe like 1 flat tire every 2,000 kilometers. How much is that? Like 1,200 miles?
Gosh, that's a good bike. Meredith says, does your bike have solar?
No.
Oh, okay. We're gonna rush through this. She then says, what is the average miles bike a day? Do you order supplies online and pick up at destinations as you go? Do you bike 7 days a week, or do you have a schedule for days off?
Oh, okay, that's a lot of questions.
It is.
An average good day is 60 miles, 100 kilometers. But if I do 80, it's fine. If I have the wind in my back and it's flat, I can do 160, like 100-mile day. So that's about the mileage. Then the other question was,
do you have a schedule for days off?
Yeah, no, I cycle from highlight to highlight. So what I do is I see like, okay, sometimes like where is the next thing to see? And then I see how many days do I need to get there. Also, sometimes you cycle from supermarket to supermarket because you might be in the desert and there might be like 300 kilometers between supermarkets.
Yeah.
So, and basically if I'm tired, I take the day off. Yeah. So
Barbara says, she's from Raleigh in the United States. She says, I'm a biker. It makes me want to go, which is lovely. Ricky says, did you ever become ill during your trips? And then what did you do about that?
Yeah, of course. Sometimes it's on my last trip, I had a little bit airway infection because of the altitude. So yeah, I was in bed for about 5 days. Okay. Just have to wait it out.
That answers Lynette's question as well. Hello there, Lynette. Stephen from Portland says, thank you so much for sharing your stories. Thank you, Viking, for preparing and presenting this uplifting tale, which is nice. Thank you very much. Mika from Montclair in the US says, the pictures you have given us are simply awesome, really enjoyable and professional. Thank you very much. He says, what about hygiene during your bike ride? Washing your dirty clothing and washing yourself?
Yes, well, I try to stay as clean as possible,
yes,
but nobody can smell me. So when I'm cycling in the desert, maybe I wear the same T-shirt for 3 days and I don't have a shower. But you got those tissues, those baby wipes,
wet wipes.
Yeah, you can have a shower with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to know anymore. No. We don't need to know anymore. Lynette says, were you ever questioned by authorities as to your purpose for being in some of those countries? Did you have to carry your passport and visas at all time?
Yes. I mean, sometimes you could be stopped off by police on the countryside and they can ask for your passports. But mostly people are really like very, I don't know, basically in countries where not too many tourists go and where maybe they're a little bit less developed than what we are used to, they put you on a pedestal. So you really feel welcome and they want to have a conversation with you and they share. I mean, in the middle of the desert, they give you water, they give you fruit, they give you bread, whatever they can share, they share with you. So No, I don't even know what the question was anymore.
No, me either. But it's lovely to hear that, actually. As I say, as we were saying, you hear so much negativity. It's so nice to hear positivity too.
That's what I wanted to say, because in Australia, I sometimes felt like a homeless. That's how they treated you, because it's so different, because they don't want cyclists on their roads.
Oh,
So that's yeah. You would expect people in developed countries to treat you better, but mostly it's the other way around. Yeah.
Lessons to be learned. Shelton in Silver Spring says, what changes did you notice in your physical health and mental outlook along the 17,000 miles of your first trip?
Very good question, because obviously while cycling, I never prepare for a trip. So I just go and get on my bicycle and I'll get healthy during the trip. But what I noticed is that my first trip, I was 34 years old. I was physically in very good shape because I came out of gymnastics and I was in a good shape. But mentally, it was a challenge. And that is now changing. So my last trip, obviously, I was 50 years old. I'm still physically capable to do all these things, but mentally, you're so much stronger.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So maybe you know yourself better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what to expect, and you're less afraid of the world. I guess the more you travel, you're less afraid of the world you are.
Now, Leslie in Polsbo in the US says, what a wonderful experience. Are you writing any books about it? Now, you have written books.
Yeah.
Are they all in Dutch at the moment?
Yes, I've written books about every single trip, and they're doing very well here in the Netherlands, but they have not been translated yet. So if there's any publisher watching, please contact me.
We need them translated. I mean, clearly the photographs don't need translating, which is why we would like to see them. But yes, we need to see you internationally published. Thank you very much. Barry from Sarasota says, did you use the same bike start to finish? How did you handle major bike repairs? That's what he wants to know about your bike.
Yes. So when I first started my bicycle trip, I bought a really good bike. And I'm really happy about it. It's a steel frame, so you can hardly break it. It got all the, very good techniques. So I'm still using the same bike. I'm getting it back into shape before every trip. So I change all the rotating parts, or actually I have somebody do that for me. So I start off my trip with a good bike. Obviously, things break throughout the way. In Iran, I broke an axe, but they were able to change it, and I know the basics. I can change my tires, I can change a chain, I can adjust my brakes, and then if it gets any more difficult, you have YouTube. But we also have bicycle shops all over the world, so you can always have somebody fix your bike.
And did you find as well that you could get on the internet most places in the world now?
Yes. Yes.
And watch a YouTube video on how to repair your bike. I found that fascinating.
But no, things have changed in that sense as well, of course, because on my very first trip, I did not have any means of navigation. I just looked at maps and we asked the people where to go, and that was it. And on my second trip, I already had a GPS. And then now on my last trip, at some point, I sent my GPS home because I was doing everything with my phone. And so things have become a lot easier to navigate. And internet is now getting everywhere. Even in Cuba, you have internet nowadays.
Yes, it is incredible, isn't it? It's knitting the world together. And finally, from Stephen in Las Vegas, in all your travels, is there one place that stands out to you for beauty, people, food, vistas?
One of my favorite countries is Bolivia. And that Bolivia, the high plateau in the Andes in South America. I've been there about 7 times now, I think. And I even wrote a travel guide on the country. That's how much I like it. And it's because you have the Andes Mountains, you have the high plateau with abstract volcanoes and lagoons with flamingos and very, very pure nature. You can go off the grid for days, like see no asphalt whatsoever. And the people on the high plateau are still so authentic, wearing their traditional clothes, and then you have the jungle. You go down the mountains, and all of a sudden you're in the jungle, where it's like being in a different country. It's a whole different game. A lot of big companies, a lot of agriculture, and pristine jungle. Yeah, so it's basically.
Is there anywhere else you would rather live? I mean, you live in the Netherlands, that is your base, and then you go exploring. But do you think you'd ever live anywhere else?
I've always thought that on all my journeys, I would just stay somewhere. Yes, I would end up somewhere. So move another place, because I really don't like our winters. I don't like it when it's cold. I don't like it when it's raining. But I found out that I'm much rather on the move, like on my way, than to stay in one place. So it's ideal to have your base in a country like the Netherlands, where your passport is valid in almost every country in the world. So it's easy to travel.
Yeah.
You need a place to put all your souvenirs. and then as long as I can have 3 months out of the winter that I'm not in the Netherlands, I'm okay. Yeah.
So you're talking to me from your house in the Netherlands. Little corner, you've got a palm tree in the background like me. Mm-hmm. Do you have a house full of bits and pieces, souvenirs from all over the world?
Yes, but I'm not in my own house. My house is still rented out. I had it rented when I was traveling. And these people wanted to stay a little bit longer, and because of COVID, I'm not making much money, so I thought, okay, let them stay. So I'm actually at my boyfriend's house.
But your house is full of souvenirs from all over the world.
Yes, I could have shown you, but they're not here.
Oh, we'll do another chat at some point. Yes. Hopefully face to face.
I'll be back in my own house.
I will come and visit you in your own house when we can travel again. Yeah. When do you think you will get back on your bike around the world again? Have you made plans already?
Yeah, because I have this lockdown, for me, the most frustrating part is that I cannot plan anything in the future, that you don't know how long it's going to take, when the countries will open up again, and so on. So I didn't plan it for the near future, but I know that my dad died on the 26th of February, and in the year 2023, I will be his age.
Yes, 54.
So I thought that was a good date to start my second.
That would be, yes.
Around the time around the world, it almost feels like you're in extra time.
Yeah. Oh, no, but I can see it, yes.
No, my mom is still alive.
Excuse me, to me, 54 is very young, but yes.
My mom is 78, so I
well,
still...
there you go. There you go. But it would be a wonderful tribute to him to set off again on a wonderful journey. Yeah. We will follow you. We will follow you. And it's been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think you've had the most astonishing journeys. And I'm so glad that you took such wonderful photographs and video along the way so that we could all enjoy it with you. And we'll get on to some publishers to make sure that we can read you in the English language, please.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, namaste, Marica. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege and a visual joy to see all the incredible memories that you brought back with you. Thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Oh, it was wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, let me just say that next week's guest is a man called Eric Ripper, and he is the most astonishing chef. He's a super chef, really. He is terribly famous in America, but has worked the world over, and is a French chef who trained in France and then went to America to make his name. And a lot of people in America already know him, but he has done so many programs and reality shows about cooking and taken us all over the world with foodie documentaries and everything. And he is the most fabulous person. He will be a brilliant guest next week when we're talking all things French. But right now, I'd love to leave you with well, obviously the thought of joining us again next week. But for the moment, let's reflect back on one of Marica's wonderful videos. This one is from her second trip, I think, which was from the Netherlands all the way to Australia. Do you remember? To visit her friend's birthday party. I'll leave you now with this incredible video, and I hope it gives you your itchy feet a sense of what may be to come in the future.